We used to listen to those flashy headlines about China's booming electric vehicle market, but something went wrong. Now, dozens of Chinese EV companies are on the brink of collapse, their dreams of conquering the electric car market becoming a financial nightmare. Intrigued by the dark side of innovation? In this video, we will get you through China's electric vehicle nightmare, revealing the hidden costs and brutal competition threatening to derail the entire industry. So stay tuned to find out what's wrong with China's EV market, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel first. Let's talk about the current state of the Chinese EV market and the overall economy. Things aren't looking too rosy, my friend. Automakers panic because their grand plans for an all-electric future are hitting severe roadblocks. They're driving full speed ahead, but the road keeps disappearing. One major issue? They're struggling to break into Western markets, where people are becoming increasingly skeptical about this whole green mobility thing. In plain terms, we're smack dab in the middle of a fierce survival battle. Some predict this could go down in history as the automotive industry's biggest collapse. So, why all the doom and gloom? Well, let's break it down. We've got 7 solid reasons why things could quickly go from bad to worse. And trust me, it's not pretty. Let's dive in and see what's what. Number 7. Almost everyone is abandoning EVs. Let's break this down in simpler terms. So, China's been on a crazy economic ride lately, and they've had their eyes set on becoming a top dog in the tech world, especially regarding cars. But here's the thing. They knew they couldn't compete for head-on with the big car companies, so they went all in on electric vehicles. The Chinese government went full throttle on this electrification plan, pouring billions into new EV startups and snagging control of critical resources like lithium globally. But then, reality hit. This whole electrification thing wasn't as smooth sailing as they had thought. Western countries started pumping the brakes on their own EV plans, deciding to stick with good old internal combustion engines for a bit longer. And guess what? China didn't have the luxury of waiting for a few more decades like the West. So now, all those Chinese EV startups are feeling the heat. None of them have been able to make a big splash in Western markets. And back home, sales are stalling. They've been riding on massive government incentives, but those are starting to dry up. And they still need to figure out how to profit from EVs. They bet big on EVs but struggle to keep their heads above water. And it's not just the little guys feeling the pinch, even the big players are feeling the squeeze. It's a tough spot to be in, no doubt about it. That's the reality of the situation. Number 6. Declining sales in the domestic market. Let's look at what's going on with the Chinese car market. You might think, China's a huge country, right? These car companies should be fine just selling to their people. But even China's domestic car market is hitting some bumps. In 2017, the market was booming, selling millions of vehicles left and right. But fast forward to now, and things have slowed down quite a bit. The electric vehicle, EV segment, which was on fire for a while, has cooled off too. After crazy growth rates of over 100% for a couple of years, suddenly it's dropped to around 45%. And then, when you thought it couldn't get worse, February rolls around, and there's a massive drop in sales. And we're not just talking about the usual dip around Chinese New Year, this is a year-over-year drop of 20%. So what's causing this sudden slowdown? Well, it's like a perfect storm of factors. For starters, the Chinese economy isn't as rosy as it used to be. After decades of booming growth, it's hit a plateau. And while the big picture might show minor growth, people on the ground feel the pinch. The middle class feels the squeeze, and consumer spending is taking a hit. But that's not all. The real estate market has dived, and the government is struggling to keep the banking system in check. They're juggling flaming torches and trying to keep them from burning everything down. Tough times indeed. Number 5. Pricing issues. The price war sparked a domino effect that's shaking up the entire automotive scene in China. Now, it's not just the EV startups duking it out with each other or trying to outshine Tesla. They've got a whole new opponent: traditional gas-powered cars. The old-school cars aren't going down without a fight. They still rule the roads and are not about to let the EVs steal their thunder. So, what do? They roll out the big guns. Massive discounts. I'm talking about jaw-dropping price cuts that'll make your eyes pop. The Honda Accord and Audi A7 are now cheaper, at $4 to $5,000. The Audi A6 comes with a whopping $122,000 discount. And it's not just Audi playing the discount game. Other legacy car makers like Mercedes-Benz are slashing prices too. Some of their models are now $10,000 cheaper than before. With over 30 legacy car makers joining the fray, it's like a battlefield. You can even snag a brand spanking new Hyundai Elantra for over $110,000. It's crazy to think about, but these discounts are shaking up the EV market in a big way. Number 4. Price war. The EV industry is flooded with cars, like a rice paddy in monsoon season. With so many EVs, the big players decided to kick off a good old price war to edge out the little guys. Leading the charge was BYD, China's biggest EV maker. They swooped in with discounts that could make your head spin. I'm talking about slashing prices by 20,000 yuan, about $2,800. Suddenly, EVs that used to cost an arm and a leg were going for peanuts. BYD ended up getting burned by their fire. Their sales took a nosedive, dropping 37% in February alone. Other companies jumped on the bandwagon when BYD started slashing prices, making the price war even more intense. We're talking discounts of up to 50% in some cases. And it's not just the local people joining in on the fun. Even foreign car makers like Tesla got involved in the action. They dropped the prices of their Model 3 from 265,000 to 229,000 yuan, which is around $31,000. The Model Y got a makeover too, with prices dropping from 288,000 to 259,000 yuan. However, while domestic companies like BYD saw their sales plummet, Tesla tried to turn things around. Despite all the chaos in the market, Tesla saw a 26% increase in sales in February. But this might be unsustainable to maintain and grow operations. Number 3. BYD problems. While BYD has been racking up some impressive sales numbers back home, it's hitting some significant roadblocks regarding going global. And guess what? BYD's struggle is a mirror image of what other Chinese EV brands are facing. Now, BYD might be selling like hotcakes in China, but it's hitting a brick wall when it comes to expanding beyond its borders. Sure, it's been trying to break into markets like Europe and Australia, but what are the sales numbers? Not so hot. Take Europe, for example. BYD barely managed to move more than 16,000 units there last year. Now, 95% of BYD's sales are happening right in its home turf of China. When you factor in that steep 37% drop in February we discussed earlier, it's like seeing the writing on the wall. These Chinese EV makers are hanging on by a thread, and they know it. Number 2. Huawei and Xiaomi's role. Huawei and Xiaomi, the tech titans known for their prowess in the consumer electronics game, have thrown their hats into the ring. And let me tell you, they're shaking things up like never before. First, we've got Huawei, and they're coming in hot with their debut EV, the S7. It is packing some serious punch with its robust 800-volt architecture and a price tag turning heads at just 258,000 yuan, or about $35,500. Xiaomi isn't about to let Huawei steal all the spotlight. They've stepped onto the scene with their own budget-friendly EV, the SU7. It's priced at a jaw-dropping 25,900 yuan, roughly $3,484. With a range of 335 miles on a single charge, this little powerhouse is making waves and giving the competition a serious run for their money. Number 1. EV makers are done. According to industry experts, 70% of these companies are teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. Back in 2017, over 500 EV companies were registered in China. Fast forward to today, and that number has shrunk to around 90. But even that is still way too many for the market to sustain. Most of these companies are barely producing anything worth mentioning. And to make matters worse, a third of them can only sell up to 2,000 cars a year. On the flip side, the top 10 EV makers, led by the likes of Tesla, are dominating the market, snatching up over 80% of the pie. It's a classic case of the rich getting richer while the little guys struggle to stay afloat. So, what's the prognosis? Well, it could be looking better for most of these companies. Experts predict many will go belly up shortly, leaving only a handful standing. And even those survivors will have to band together if they want any chance of weathering the storm. So, what do you think about this scenario? Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.